Hey, hello to all of you out there in the YWAM Beyond world. Dan here. Hey, I just wanted to preface this Beyond word for you this week. It's actually a testimony of a girl I met a couple weeks ago in a DTS debrief, and I thought, man, the simplicity, the childlikeness and rawness of her story was too good not to send out to you. I hope you are encouraged by it. Specifically for me, it's helped blow just those little doubts away that come in terms of praying for people, specifically those who don't know the Lord or are new to the Lord, in terms of healing or anything. So be encouraged. We are praying with you. We are standing with you all, and look forward to hopefully talking to you soon. All right, blessings.
Well, yeah, maybe I'll just start and then you throw in. So, yeah, talk to Dan and so tell me your story, your background, how this happened.
So I was born in California, in Southern California, this little city called Dana Point. It's like right next to the beach. So both of my parents were drug addicts, so they couldn't really take care of me when I was born, you know. So, and it was obviously illegal to, if they knew that they had a suspicion that, you know, they were doing drugs and they were going to take me away either way. So, you know, my mom was abusing drugs while she was pregnant with me. And I think that was probably the reason why I was actually born with deafness in both of my ears. And so when I was born, they noticed that I wasn't crying or anything, so they were really, really scared that I was like, you know, dead. But they like slapped me in the butt and actually started crying. And then my grandparents took care of me when I was born till the age of 5 years old because they had to move to another state. And they started noticing that I wasn't talking, that I wasn't really doing anything. So they took me to the doctors and did an x-ray, and they saw that I didn't have any bones in my ears actually. So I was born with no bones, so that means I couldn't like transmit sound inside of my ear, so that's why I can't hear at all. And they didn't notice that until like I was like really young, like 2 to 3 years old. But I got surgery on my right ear when I was about 5 years old, but they couldn't afford to do it on my left ear, and I was a little bit too young to do surgeries in the same time. So I grew up in a foster care after that till the age of 18, abused drugs, hung out with like the wrong crowd, you know, did really bad in high school, just had like a very bad, I was just abusing the wrong things at the wrong time because, you know, I didn't know where my mom was. You know, my dad was never in the picture. I didn't have like anybody to like have as a role model. So like if I saw like a friend that like gave me the slightest attention or the slightest love, I would crave love, you know. And then when I actually met my mom for the first time ever, I was 10 years old, and you know, I had so much hate inside of my heart because it was just like, oh, now you want to show up in my life, right? After all this that I've been through, you know, after, you know, me going to foster care and, you know, me not having like a mother figure that I really needed, now you want to show up. So I had so much hate inside of my heart. But, you know, I got over that and, you know, started building a relationship with her, but it wasn't a healthy relationship because I still had so much like resentment towards her, and I was like, just had so much hate towards her. And so, yeah. I was just doing so bad when I was back in California, you know, and she was an atheist. She got sober in order to like, you know, have me back and everything like that, but it wasn't, you know, she signed off her rights when I was born, so she couldn't, you know, she couldn't at all have custody of me. It's illegal. And yeah, so she's atheist. She doesn't believe in God. She doesn't believe anything spiritually. She just thinks, you know, black and white science. That's how she is. And, you know, my dad, same thing. My dad passed away when I was actually 10 years old from a car crash, but even after he got sober, he was still very, very atheist. And even if he brought up like, you know, about God or anything spiritual, he'd be like, no, that is total, you know, that's a lie. He thought like, where is the facts, you know? And so I grew up atheist, and then my grandparents, you know, when they would take care of me, or like they're not atheists, but they don't believe in God either. They're Native American, so they like worship every single thing. And yeah, I just wanted like love so much. Like I was just craving like attention because I never got it. And so if a friend or a guy gave, or like drugs, you know, I had so much pain inside of my heart that I needed something to numb like my pain because I hated dealing with it. So that I took the wrong path. I was self-harming. I was so depressed. And when I heard about YWAM, it was from this girl that I'm really, really close to. And, she came to YWAM, had the same, past as me, abusing drugs and everything like that. And she's like, it changed my life, God is so good, blah, 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 blah. And I was just like, I don't know if that's, if I want to do that. I don't want to, conform to Christianity. I don't know. I don't believe in that stuff, And then, but it was so funny because there was times where I'm like, okay, if I really, really wanted to take my own life, or if I didn't love myself, why is it that I'm still here living, Why is it that I still, have a new day than, every time I wake up? And, one day I was just so over living in California with all, the surfers that just smoke weed all day, and, that's what they do the whole day, every day, for their entire lives, and I was just so over it. I was like, I want to travel, I want to go somewhere new. So, what's the best thing? To go to Hawaii. So, I came to Hawaii, and, I came here just thinking okay, I'm gonna, I just want to get rid of, my friends. I don't want to deal with anybody back at home. I just want to meet new people. I wasn't thinking yeah, I'm gonna go because of God, So I came here as an atheist. I didn't believe in God. And, people were like, oh, are you a Christian? They asked me about God, and I'm just pretending to be this Christian that I'm not, I don't know anything about God. I never worshiped in my life. I never opened up the Bible and read anything. I had to buy a Bible for me to come here, And, so I came here with not really an open mind nor an open heart, because I just came here to kind of in my mind thinking I was running away from my problems, but I wanted to deal with them here with nobody that I knew, and just with a new, with a new reality, with a new life. But I never came here with an intention thinking oh yeah, I'm gonna accept Jesus in my life. So yeah. Yeah.
And then tell us a little bit about those first few days here and what happened.
First few days were really tough, because everywhere you go, people just talk about the glory of God. And I wasn't a Christian at that time. So first day, meeting new people, I was super nervous because I have really bad anxiety, and I'm not shy or anything. It's more of what are they gonna think about me? What if they ask about my past? Are they gonna judge me for my past? Because I've had times where I would tell somebody about my past, and they would judge me right away, And I was okay, well, what makes these people different? And that's what I kind of thought. And then, it was just super hard to go in my room and then see all these people super happy and stoked that or probably nervous as much as I am, but I was just so scared that they were gonna kick me out because I wasn't Christian. What if they found out if I did drugs, when I came here, I was still high off of drugs. I was not sober at all. I was really messed up in the head, just having these lies in my head. The enemy was just trying to get to me. And but we had ministry night, and I think ministry night was what really hit home, because I thought when they said ministry night was 2 hours of worship, I was oh my gosh, I don't want to stand here 2 hours listening to people worship something that I don't even know about, or I don't even think is up there. And the first 30 minutes, it just hit me. I just felt this presence, and I was what is this, And it just clicked in my mind oh, that's God. That is definitely that has to be God. That's not a coincidence that I come here in this quarter, and I feel this way, So, the first few days were super, super hard, but I think right until the first day of classes and the first day of ministry night, I feel that was just over for me. God just wrecked my plans for what I had ahead, yeah.
And then tell us a little bit about what happened that night, but also how your mom, you told me a little bit about your mom trying to get you to prepare to come.
Yeah. So before I came to YWAM, when I was packing my stuff, I had a checklist and everything, and I had my hearing aid that I've been using since I was 5 years old, and I told her, I was I don't really think I should bring my hearing aid. First of all, I don't want people to be thinking oh, she's deaf, or second of all, I don't know, I just don't want to grab so much attention because I have this thing in my ear. It's so annoying, just if I came to like worship night and it's super loud, I have to adjust it. If I go in a classroom setting, I have to adjust it. So it was just like too much, and I just told her, I was like, I don't think I should bring my hearing aid. And she told me, she was like, no, you're gonna have to, because then that's just gonna make it hard for you to hear. And I was like, you're right. I thought I put it in my bag, like the bag that I was gonna bring on to the airplane, like my carry-on, but I guess I didn't. I sat down in the airplane and I touched my ear, because I always touch my ears, but like I touched it and I didn't have my hearing aids. I was like, okay, let me put on my hearing aids. I checked all over my bags and I didn't find anything. I didn't find my hearing aid at all. I called my mom literally when the plane was going up. I called my mom saying like, you need to like send this hearing aid like to Hawaii, because if I don't have it, then for 6 months I literally don't know what I'm going to do, you know? So I told her, I was like, when I get there, the first thing I'm gonna ask is the address so you could like send it to me ASAP. She's like, okay. And she found it like right where my bed, it was like right there in my bed. And I thought, for real, I thought like I put it inside my bag, but it wasn't inside my bag at all. And even when I came to my room, I like got everything and I like put everything everywhere so I could see if my hearing aid was there, but it wasn't there. So yeah, and then, you know, the first day of classes, Mike Brown was talking, and at first when he was talking, I was just like rolling my eyes, like, oh my gosh, why am I here, you know? And then we had ministry night, and everybody was so excited for ministry night, like the staff, the leaders, they're like, you're gonna love it, blah, 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 and I was like, oh, okay. And then, you know, I didn't even know what ministry night was, to be honest. And then when we all went, you know, I was all the way up, like in the middle, and they're like, yeah, it's 2 hours of worship. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I don't think I could do this. I'm gonna get a panic attack. I've never worshiped for 2 minutes, let alone for like 5 minutes. I've never worshiped ever in my life. And so, you know, when they said 2 hours, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna stick to it. You know, I'm just gonna like bite my tongue and just sit here and just give it a try. And I, you know, for the first 30 minutes, I was just looking around, looking at everybody. They were like, so like, you know, in their own world with God, and I was kind of jealous of that. I was just like, I want that, you know, like I want to be like very spiritual like how they are as well, you know. And I just wanted to feel something. For once, I wanted to feel something. For all these years of like abusing drugs, you know, I wanted to feel numb, but that day I wanted to feel love for once, you know. And so I just closed my eyes, and I just closed them. I didn't pray. I didn't like ask for anything. I just closed them. And you know, when I closed them, I just immediately started crying so much, and I started sobbing to the point where I was like screaming, and like I felt like a weight lifted off my shoulders when I started crying. And I'm a very emotional person, but like that night, I've never ever like felt to the point where I had to scream. And you know, I just felt like this warmth around my body, and I felt like I just felt so light. I felt like I was flying like up in the air. And like all of a sudden I started singing. I didn't even know the song, so I just started singing. And I love singing, but like that night I've never ever like sang the randomest things out of my mouth. I didn't even was singing the lyrics. I was just singing. And you know, and then I was just like, what? And then I asked, I was like, what is this that I'm feeling? And then I heard a voice, and I said, and it was God, and God said, it's me. It's me. Like you finally found me. It's me. And then I was like, oh wow, okay. Like, let me just sit back here, like, am I okay? And I was tripping out like really hard. I was just like, what is this? You know, is this actually God, or am I on drugs? You know, but you know, I felt so freeing that day. I've never felt anything ever like that ever in my life. I really felt like all God just kept reminding me like everything that happened to me in the past, like abusing drugs, like feeling lonely and abandoned, feeling like those little tiny things that I really needed somebody. He reminded me that like he was there, and like I never was lonely and I never was abandoned because he was there, you know. Like his hand from heaven like came down to earth just for me. And throughout everything, you know, through foster care, through like me abusing drugs, with me like hanging out with the wrong crowd, with me getting in trouble in school, with me like crying out to myself and not feeling like the most abandoned person in the world, like he reminded me that he was there. And it was just an amazing feeling, and I just felt like finally I could like actually breathe. Like I actually finally be like, okay, like, all right, Beth, like let's do this, you know, like let's get to it then, like, you know, let's start walking together. And Shannon Castile was there, and she was like, I just kept like I kept repenting. I just kept saying like, I'm so sorry, God, that I was so like difficult, and I was so like not like, I was like saying like, no, there's no God, you know, like I just kept saying sorry to him, that I never saw that he was there with me. And yeah, and I just kept saying sorry, and I kept crying, and I got down on my knees, and I just started putting my hands up and like started singing, and I've never ever done that before. So it was like really like out of my comfort zone. And but like at that time I didn't care. I didn't even open my eyes once until like Shannon Castile was there, and she was like, okay, I feel like God wants to he's telling me to like, you need to lay everything down for him, and like you need to surrender. Like, you know, you need to give your life up to God and to Jesus. And I was like, and I was thinking to myself, like, am I ready for that? And I was like, oh, yes, I am ready for that. Like, I want to. Like, I can't be living this way anymore. I need to stop. You know, I need to stop like being in my self-pity, and stop like just doing all these bad stuff that like just poisoned me at the end of the day, you know. And so yeah, I like, she was like, if you do want to give up your life like to God, like I you know, like give your heart to the altar. And I was like, yes, I want to do that, you know. And like I was still on my knees, and I just said, God, like I want to give it all to you. Like I want to like sacrifice my whole, not just these 6 months, but like my whole life to you, you know. And you guys have to know that I was super atheist. Like I would like straight be like, no, you know, science, blah 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 blah. And like but that day I was just like, no, because this is something different. Like I've never felt like this ever before, you know. I can't like say like, yeah, it was just like you have to feel like God to know God, you know. And like that day I totally felt him so much, and like the Holy Spirit was just there like insanely. And you know, like from that day on, I promised God, I was just like, I'm never ever gonna turn my back from you ever again. And so yeah, and it was funny because then after she's like, okay, who needs healing, blah blah blah. And I thought healing like, oh, like broken heart, like yes, I need inner healing right now, because I just gave my life up to Jesus. I need prayer. And like I just felt like so like you know, done. I was just like, oh my gosh, like I've never felt this much like tiredness ever in my life, because I was screaming, I was crying, I was singing my lungs out. And I was just like, yes, I need healing from my heart. So I raised my hand thinking like, you know, inner healing, not like physical pain. And then people like came up to me and were like, oh, do you need healing for your back? Blah, blah, blah. I was like, no. I was like, what do you mean? Like, do you have any pain in your body? I was like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. They're like, then what do you need prayer for? And I was like, in my head, I'm like, what do you mean what I need prayer for? I need prayer. I just need prayer. And then I was just like, you know what? I think, you know, that's when it clicked to my head that they meant prayer, like you know, physical. And I was just thinking, like, really? Like, you really think you're going to, like, even if I had, like, a broken foot or whatever, like, you really think, like, God could actually, like, have that much power to do that? You know, at that time, I was thinking that. But I was just like, you know what? Yeah, you could pray for my ear. I'm actually deaf. They're like, oh, okay. You know, they were so excited. They were so pumped. They were like, yes, like, let's do this. Like, I was like, okay. Like, I don't know if you're going to do anything, but go ahead and pray, you know? And they prayed. And at first, like I said, I was so like skeptical. I was like, okay, like I just accepted Jesus in my life, and I know that like I love God and blah 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 blah. But like, what is he like is God actually like a person that does this, you know? And I was just thinking like, no way. Like I've been deaf since I was born. Like you really think like I'm like all of a sudden a prayer is gonna like heal that, you know? Is it gonna cure it? I don't think so. So you know, the first time they prayed, I was just like there like, you know, like, okay, hurry up with the prayer. Like I don't think it's going to work. And then they're like, do you feel different? So I was like, no. And they're like, okay, let's pray again. And I was like, okay. But that time I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to pray for myself. So I prayed to myself, you know, I said, God, like, I said, like, I know it's your will for me to hear again. So I was like, so like, you know, like heal my heart, heal the pain that I have inside of my heart. Like take away all this pain that I have, like, you know, just renew my life right now, you know. And like I like was just like in my own zone, like praying and like, you know, getting these crazy visions that I've never had before. And I thought I was dreaming. It felt like really like a dream. I didn't feel like I was actually there. And then I kept hearing like snapping in this ear, and I opened my eyes and I looked, and there was like nobody there. There's people like right here. There was nobody there, but like other people, but not praying for me. I was like, who can be snapping? I literally looked everywhere. There was nobody snapping. I heard like little whispers in my ear. I heard trumpets, And I literally looked up in the stage to see if there was trumpets, and there was like nobody playing trumpets. Like, you know, there was just guitars and drums and singing, and I was just like, oh, okay, like, what is this, you know? I was just like, it blew my mind, and like, I just closed my eyes again, and I was like, okay, that's weird. I don't know if I'm like losing it, but like, I really do, I hear like different sounds, and I don't know what the heck it is, but I only heard it in this ear, I didn't hear it on this one. And like, I just closed my eyes, and I kept hearing the snapping, and I kept hearing the same things over and over again for like a minute or two, and I was getting emotional at that point. I was like, what is that? You know? And then yeah, I heard like 3 pops in my ear, and then I opened my, like right when I opened my eyes, I heard like I like knew that I got healed, because I heard like people singing. I heard like literally like, you know, people worshiping and praying. And I opened my eyes and I started crying, and I was just like, what the heck, you know? And people looked at me like, you know, like, oh my gosh, like she actually got healed. Like they were even surprised that I got healed. I was like, wait, like, what? Yeah, I was so, no words can explain like the feeling that I got that night. You know, even walking to my room, I ran to my room, and I started crying, because I was just like, you know, 19 years of my life, I didn't hear from this 1 year, you know. What if it's not a coincidence that I came to YWAM, gave my life up to God, and healed me from my deafness, you know? And me thinking like, oh, there's no God, you know. And then I accepted Jesus in my life, and then I'm like, oh, God, I don't think, like, okay, yeah, I accepted Jesus in my life, and I want him in my life, but is he, you know, is he capable of like healing my ear, you know? Do I even deserve it? Do I deserve getting healing, you know? And no, that night, it just wrecked my life forever, you know? I don't think if it was for like even coming to YWAM and even like surrendering like everything that I have in my life, like all my pain, all my stubbornness, my insecurity, every single thing that just ruined my life and ruined my body and my spirit. If it wasn't for that night, for ministry night, and for me to like pray for myself, and for me to actually have faith and be like, okay, God, like, you know, like I want you to heal me, and you will heal me. For me to just say those simple words and have faith in God, like, you know, is insane. So yeah, there's like no word to explain like how I felt that night. Like God is so awesome. I and to hear that people like get healed like every single day is just like crazy, you know. For me to even share my testimony with people, like, yeah, like, you know, with sickness, with like diseases, with like broken foots or like pain in their back, and to tell them like, you know, like I felt the same way. I felt so hopeless, and I felt like such an outcast, because I can't hear from one ear, and it's so hard. You know, it was really, really hard. And to tell them like, God healed me, you know, like, hey, like 19 years of my life, like I was deaf, but like for me to just like have all this faith and be like, oh, God is going to heal me, you know, like he did. So yeah, it was amazing. Mm-hmm. Praise God, yeah. Yeah.
What about, can I just ask, what does your family think about what took place?
You know, yeah, so when I got healed that night, you know, I went to my room and like started crying, and you know, I needed somebody to tell this to somebody. You know, like I had my roommates and like I had everybody there, but obviously they knew because they were in the ministry night, but like I needed somebody to like talk to about it, because it was so amazing. I was just like, I need to get this out. I can't keep this in. This is too exciting to not share. So, you know, the first person I called was my mom. But like I said, she's super atheist. She doesn't believe in anything. And, you know, I called her. I told her, like, Mom, like, you know, like, I'm here. And she knew that this was a Christian program. And she was just like, I'm super proud that you're, like, you know, you're going there and you're getting, like, you know, you're just, like, going there to, like, meet new people and blah, 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 blah. But she wasn't, like, saying, like, oh, I'm so happy that you're going to accept Jesus in your life, blah, 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 you know. But then I told her, I was like, Mom, like, I really do think there's a God. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, I just think there's a God up there, Mom. And she's like, why? Why do you think that? And I told her, like, how, like, you know, how ministry night went where I felt, like, the presence of God, and, like, how the Holy Spirit really took me to, like, another level. And, you know, I told her, I was like, Mom, I've never, ever felt like that ever before. And she was like, I don't know what to say. And I was like, I was like, she's like, I don't know what do you mean? And then I told her, like, yeah, I got healed from my ear. She's like, what do you mean you got healed from your ear? I was just like, I could hear again. She's like, what do you mean you could hear again? I was just like, Mom, like God healed my ear. Like he healed my left ear. He's like, And she was just like, no, that's not possible. Like, that's not possible at all. Like, that can't be. I was like, Mother, like, yes, it is. I was like, yes, it is. Like, there is a God up there. Like, I literally, like, for 2 hours just telling my mom, like, there is, Mom. Like, you have to, like, trust me that there is a God up there, because I told her, I was like, there's not a coincidence. I was like, what if I stayed home? You know? Like, what if I stayed home? I would have still been deaf. But for me to, like, God lead me to YWAM, and for me to, like, feel the presence of Him, and for me to accept Him finally, and for God to be like, hey, like, thank you for, like, finding me. Like, I've been trying to find you this whole time, you know? And, like, for me to, like, show myself and to, like, present myself to God and invite Him inside of my heart, like, why is it that I did that? And, like, He healed me after, saying, like, yeah, like, this is me, Beth. Like, this is who I am. You know? Like, that's not a coincidence, Mom. And she was like, I don't know. And I, like, kid you not, like, every single day I talk to my mom, I'm just, like, telling her, like, Mom, like, you have to, like, believe me. So I believe that, like, she's like, okay, like, that's cool that you got your hearing back, but I don't think it's God. And she's like, I just think, like, yeah, maybe, like, you're here again. And I was just like, no, like, you have to know, like, you know, that this is something different. This is not, like, this is not, like, anything else but God, you know? So, I mean, it's heartbreaking to know that, like, she doesn't know, that she doesn't, like, she's not on the same, like, page as me. But, I mean, I don't know. I feel like even going back home, you know, and even sharing with her, like, about what I learned here is probably going to even change her life, you know? So, yeah, I mean, that's probably the only person from, like, my family I told, because I would kind of, she was, like, the only person I told from my family. But, yeah, I mean, I know she will one day, you know, like, I don't think she could resist that, so yeah.